pay the PTO bill?
I know, we don't have the upper these lights on.
Keeping it cool. Oh. Right?
It's
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Uwchlan Township Board of Supervisors workshop meeting for the month of June. Today is the 4th. Just a note before we begin, today's meeting will be recorded and live streamed on the Township's YouTube channel. And we will jump right into our business agenda tonight and this afternoon. And the first item we have is a review and discussion regarding the quality of life survey results.
We need to use this, right? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. First, we would like to thank Bobby for actually making this possible for us to be involved in this process. We appreciate everything. And I have with me here my colleague, Dr. Chris Crosney, and she's the director of the Public Policy and Administration program, the DPA, which is the doctoral program. And I'm also serving as the chair of the department. And my name is Francis Etuahene. So I think we'll just be going in turn, trying to provide just a best eye view of the results of the survey that we did. Overall, there were over 1,000 individuals that started the survey. But as you all know, people start and then they stop, they forget about it. But then in total, we have about 886 people who completed. And when I say completed, they completed about 80% of the survey. So statistically, we think this is a very good representation of this community. We do have a question that eventually we will ask Bobby for clarification in terms of the population, the sample size that we are using, so that when the results go out there, people will be able to see the validity of the methodology that we are using. You want to say anything, God?
Sure. So just to review distribution, this was a fully online survey, but people were offered the opportunity if they wanted to complete a paper survey. Postcards were sent out to each resident that included a QR code for people to complete the survey. It was posted on social media, on the township's website. It went out, I think, in at least 2 emails as well. And it was great within Qualtrics. We were able to track not just responses, but track how people were engaging. And I'd say it was about equally engaged from people clicking on the link through newsletters and through the website, as well as people who were scanning the QR code either off of the postcard or where flyers were posted in the township's offices. The survey was open for about 2 months. We made the decision to close it first, as my colleague mentioned. We felt very confident about the sample size. We also decided to close it because we were seeing that even with additional nudges and being pushed out on social media or in the email newsletter, that responses were trickling out. So we felt we had offered folks a wide opportunity and multiple methods to participate in the survey, as well as ample time if they wished. All right, now the next one. So now thinking about who responded. Most of this had lived in the township for more than 20 years. That was almost 2/3 of the survey. And we felt this was also a theme that we'll talk about later on as we go through some of the responses. These were long-term residents of Uwchlan Township and very engaged. About 1/3 of the sample was 65 or older, and about 1/4, 26%, was between 55 and 64. This is a highly educated population. Almost 45% reported having a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree, and 42% had a postgraduate. So this could be a master's degree, a law degree, anything beyond that initial bachelor's. Population mostly identified as being white. About half were stated that they were employed full-time, and 1/3 were retired.
Yeah, so this particular question, question 6, was about how many times people actually visit either your website, call this office, asking questions and getting support. And the question structure was based in such a way that we have 1 time, 2 times, but at least as you can see on the chart and on the screen, about 91%, so approximately 92%, they visited the township park. And this particular area is where people talk about when it comes to the open spaces. And you can also see, followed by the website. So there's a website visibility within the township. People are actually utilizing your website a lot. Call 911 wasn't that much of anything, but then as we move on in the presentation, you will see that that is also one of the valuable items within this particular township. So in terms of the utilization of the resources that you have, it appears that overall people are making use of what you guys are doing over here.
And again, these are folks who are very engaged with the township and with administration. It's folks who are participating in events. They're going to the website. They're having contact with the staff. So again, this was trying to understand who's responding to the survey and what they're how they're valuing what they're seeing. They want.
All right, the overall impression. I think overall people are impressed with the work that you guys are doing. So you have to keep doing what you are doing until we start talking about their main issues. Then you're like, how do you fix it, right? So as you can see, about 88.7%. And what I mean by combining excellent and good in terms of percentage points, all right? They believe that members or the administration, people working with the township are very courteous, which is very good thing. We all want people to say very nice things about us. And the overall performance of the township is also about 88.7, approximately 89%. That's also very good. Then in terms of responsiveness and follow up on various issues they are concerned, you see that it's 82.3. This particular slide is telling you guys the work that you are doing, how people are pleased with the work. And generally speaking, based on the participants, this is what we have.
There was about half of respondents stated that they had had in-person or on the phone contact. So this could be a combination of people in terms of if they're attending a meeting, if they're showing up with a question, if they're emailing, or if they are calling. I think it's important too to recognize that very often when people are coming with a question, it might be because they want more information, but there might be a problem that they're trying to fix. So I would say that this really is a high level of satisfaction and what a very positive impression.
So this particular thing, and I think I have the questions here, so I will just go over the question to you. It's question number one. We have a litany of items like services or stuff that we have that of the following items, how would you rate Uwchlan Township as a place to raise family, a place to live, a place to obtain good education? And as you can see, a place to raise family is listed number one. So people appreciate this place. At the same time, to a place to live, obtain good education. And we know this is Chester County, so it confirms the whole idea that this is a very good place to do some of these things. And if you look at the combined excellent and good for a place to raise a family, it's about 89%. The same thing, no, excuse me, it's 94%. We also have 93% for a place to live, 91% for a place to obtain good education. So you could see that when it comes to some of these services that we are providing within the township, people are quite pleased. And I think that I would say that is one of the major pull factors for people to actually come here. And those pull factors are also a major concern to the citizens over here, because we will talk about overdevelopment, traffic congestion, and all those things, because those are major concerns for them.
I think too, the question about purchasing a home, open a business, retire and find a job are also asking kind of a little bit forward looking in terms of how residents are thinking about Uwchlan, future, different phase of life, whereas raising a family, living, good education are very much reflecting what they're experiencing now or in the very short term future.
Which one is? Oh, question 5. So how do you rate how do resident rate issues facing the Uwchlan Township? Now, as you can see, once again, we combine the most important and one of the most important so that you know that at least people are rating them high or low. I think where we want to pay particular attention is public transportation option. So as you can see, it's about 18.7% combined, that rate public transportation as an issue. But when you go through the survey, when you do some of this survey, you're analyzing, you try to see the people who said, answer question, say 5, what do they say about a different question? You try to correlate to see if there are some kind of a relationship between the two. So people are complaining about not having public transportation, all right? But they're also complaining about like traffic.
Of course.
You understand what I'm saying? It's like I want to ride my own car, but then I also think that public transportation is a concern. So that is something I think we were just talking about it. But in terms of some of the issues, we'll look at maintaining water quality, maintaining roads, and maintaining high emergency service. And those are the combined one of the most important or the most important to them. You can see in terms of the percentage. So the first one is in total about 79%. Then the second one, maintaining roads and infrastructure, is about 79% approximately.
And again, comparing this to the responses for question 1, so, folks were rating the township a little bit lower in terms of opening a business or in terms of finding employment. But when you look at these, they are not identifying attracting and retaining businesses as being an important issue. That's not one of their top 5. I think this is most important. And same thing in terms of, they were rating Uwchlan Township a little bit lower in terms of a place to retire. But considering what is the importance of the impact of an aging population, of only about 35% that it was an issue.
All right. Sure. Also, overall, what do residents like most about living in this township? And as we said, so the word cloud over there speaks volume, right? They love the parks. And I have to say, for the record, I'm a little bit biased because I live closer to this place and I utilize some of these areas. So when I was actually reading the results, I'm like, yeah, these are some of the things that keep some of us living in this place. So the shopping area, the community, and community in terms of the sense, the communal system here, all right, that people, the neighborhood, people appreciate that. And mind you, if you recall from slide number 2, when we were talking about the demographics, you see that there's a long tenure system over here, like people who have lived in this particular township for more than 20 years. So if people don't really like their neighbors, I don't think, all things being equal, they'll be living here. So the school system, the Downingtown School District was highly ranked. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, location and convenience are really key themes here in terms of how people are articulating what they like most about living in the township. Schools are a major community asset and bringing people in. Open space is important, and this is, I think, very tied to also a strong sense of community. Again, how people are engaging with their space. It's a place to gather with their family, with neighbors. Safety is a key core value here, and this is related to both their confidence in police and emergency services, the perception of crime rates and safety. And again, seeing things like it's very quiet, it's peaceful. I'm surrounded by nice people, I think was one of the responses in there too, and how they're describing their neighbors. We think about quality of life and thinking about it being kind of, sifting through those qualitative responses. It's about balance. There is a strong rural character and sense of community here, but a lot of the noise that comes with suburban style townships. Open space, active recreation as well. It feels like a community. People know they are engaged, they are vested with their neighbors, but there's also an incredible amount of accessibility and the location is considered convenient.
Yeah. And yeah, so this is question.
So if you go back one more, just this is looking at the number of responses for those themes. So they don't add up to 100. You were not tied to just one theme. So you might have had people who were identifying more than one of those. But just again, looking at kind of what's at the top. It's about the shopping, the dining, the daily needs, having the walking trails, having passive access, passive recreation.
And just for clarification, this particular question is more about the qualitative responses from the individual. So what we did is to thematize this, then just run like percentages descriptive to present it in a graphical form. And I would have been surprised if people have not actually mentioned the Marsh Creek area, because it's one of those sought after places. As you can see, the Darlington School District is also. Yep. Now let's see where the critique actually comes. So they love this place, and you know, as people will say that every good thing has a bad associated with it. I love this place, bad. All right, and as you can see, the development is a major concern. Housing, in terms of the cost. And people are talking about overdevelopment, as a matter of fact. Then they also talk about the traffic congestion. And I think that this is, as we know, Route 100 is usually heavily congested. So I was telling Bobby when I was coming here, I have to veer off the Route 100 because there was a crash on the road, unfortunately, right? So, I mean, it's not funny, but this is something that typically people complain about when urban area try to overly develop. So I'm not quite sure what you guys can do about it, but it's a concern that people talk about.
Growth and development in these responses is tied to this perception of higher traffic and congestion. As we know, people are rating the open space and recreation very highly. Some of the respondents here is it's not enough. They want more. We're losing open space. The issue of affordability. This is, the combination of living expenses, housing expenses, and employment comes up as well. To kind of tease us out a little bit, though, it's not just about traffic and network effects. If you look at these are some of those major themes here. You're looking qualitatively and open-ended response. Traffic is one of the ways in which residents are expressing concerns about change, about growth, about development.
Yep. All right.
So,
That's you.
So thinking about what are priorities for your citizens, stability, this sense of community. Again, people are engaging with these township-wide activities. They are hitting your website for information, to answer questions, to plan ahead. This is important. It's one of those ways that people feel connected to Uwchlan Township. Again, to come back, it's almost 60% of the respondents have lived here for 20 or more
years.
That's impressive. They were talking about lifelong residents. Thinking too back to the education characteristics, when you have 87% have a bachelor's degree or postgraduate degree, highly educated, and it's often highly correlated with being civic-minded and wanting to engage with local government. All right.
So I think with that, say that governance is a major asset for this township.
Governance and citizen engagement for sure. So again, the theme of today, Rex and open space. This is consistently a very positive finding and reflected by citizens in terms of what they are happy with living in Uwchlan Township, what they're using, and how they're interacting with the surrounding environment. 91% of respondents stated that they have used the parks within the last 12 months. They rated it almost 8 out of 10 in terms of satisfaction. And for Uwchlan Township sort of administration and activities as a service area, Parks and Rec is the highest.
Yeah, you see, over here, question 14 is more about people's willingness to actually pay additional levy to support some of the township activities. And I think based on the result, over 76% of them are willing to do that. But once again, they do so based on specific services that they would like to support, particularly public safety, right?
Yep. Public safety, yes, 3 out of 4 residents say that they'd be willing to pay more taxes for additional emergency response to public safety. Open space preservation was about 2 out of 3, same as parks and trails, road and infrastructure. Snowstorm response was about 50%. 5 of the 7 areas were 50% or resident concerns, trajectory of Uwchlan Township. So there was a specific question about thinking about where the township is now. Is it improving, better? Is it the same, or is it getting worse? So about half rated the township is about the same, but 35% is it. And it's really stuck out to us because this is a bit different than when you look at how are we evaluating the township responses. You guys are overwhelmed. The township is being rated strongly again with key community characteristics: school, open space, parks and recs. So this is, I think, some of it is for those long-term residents, people who are retired. Forget about 30 respondents who are retired, right? So their frame of reference for how they view the township is very different.
Yes.
And where they are in their phase of life, they are valuing things
differently. They probably want to keep it the way it used to be, but we do have other people who want to see this place grow. So I think I will not even look at the 47 and 17.9%. The focus here will be the 34.9, which is 35, approximately 35%, because that is where, if you are trying to look at policy changes, anything, you may want to focus, because that's not a small number, all things being equal.
And it's not the same, but this is almost that flip side that with stability, with citizen engagement being so highly rated, there's concern about things are changing or not in the way I would like them to be.
Yes.
They're different questions, they're different issues, they're related.
Yeah, I think we can skip this slide. It was a repeat of the other ones. All right, sorry. Question 11 was trying to ask participants to rate a few items as you see, and then this is the mean score. So you see the midpoint is planning for growth and development 5.67. But overall, you will see that snow and storm response, ensuring public safety, these are all areas that they think need specific attention.
Again, so this is rating how the township is doing. So this is reflecting again that there's concerns for planning. And a lot of people are rating the township in other areas very high for open space and green space. Here, I think it's really in people want. And I think again, it's tied to how what that level of development looks like, how the physical environment has changed, and how that's tied to the perception of what we're looking for.
I think this is the last slide, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Down, the other one was about storing the township on a 1 to 10, and now this is a little bit conceptually rating an excellent, good, fair.
Yeah. In terms of
public safety is good. Township parks, historic structures, promoting economic development, thinking about the aging population, and preserving open space are about the middle. Managing growth and development, ensuring affordable housing where people are rating the township performance level.
Yeah. And one important thing that I will point out on this slide is, so if you look at ensuring affordable housing and you look at the gray and the blue, that is an area we want to make sure we pay particular attention, because that is the fair and poor, right? And we all know that this area is quite expensive in terms of housing. So in terms of the township decision, providing parcels of land and everything, you may want to take a particular consideration as to the kind of development that you are providing, low affordable housing and stuff like that. All right, I think this is the end. Thanks, guys. We appreciate your time. And if you have any questions.
Not really a question, but just a observation. How do you digest, given that the demographics for the respondents was mostly retired or the second half of the life cycle, it's curious to me that the impacts of an aging population is rated as pretty least important, knowing the demographics of the respondents, but then those things kind of bleed over into the issues that our seniors are facing. So I don't know, is that something that kind of stuck out to you as an interesting theme throughout the survey? Or
Yes, I mean, I look at that, and that is part of the qualitative component of the survey. And I believe the reason why we are seeing that is because we also have fledgling family that are growing up, all right? And seeing all these things going on, there are looking at the long tenure folks who want to maintain the status quo. There's that friction. That is my interpretation of that conflict.
Dueling.
Yes, exactly. Because on one hand, you have individuals who are raising family. They want to see all these changes. On the other hand, too, we have individuals who've been living here for a very long time, and they want to maintain the status quo. They want stability, but as you know, you can't always do that. So I think that is where the conflict comes.
And I wonder too if just the language, if people interpret impact of an aging population, what does that really mean? Because we do see, the first thing that comes to mind is obviously our emergency services and the
Yes.
ability to respond to senior assisted living facilities and stuff like that. And that rated very high. And
Yes.
So maybe it's just kind of an interpretation of what impact of aging population.
Exactly.
Interesting. I don't have any other questions. Does anyone else?
No, it was really very insightful. I did make a note about the traffic, which came up a lot. Traffic.
Transportation, respondents don't seem interested in,
No.
which we know is a great way to alleviate some of that.
Right.
Yeah, but you don't want to get anyone out of their truck, so.
Yeah.
Well, then I was just wondering too, because it seemed like respondents were making a correlation with traffic and development.
Yes.
But is there really a correlation? Do we even know that? I don't know if you all.
I think we will be able to actually run a correlation analysis, and without even going in the data, you should see that there should be a correlation, because as development expands over development, as they say, then obviously you expect people to buy more cars, right? Family are growing, then definitely it's going to increase the traffic congestion, all right? So I think we can run, and there could be, I'm not going to say statistically significant, but there could be some relationship.
So I guess I would, let me rephrase it. I would imagine there would be a correlation.
Oh,
Obviously,
yeah.
more houses, more people, more
yes.
cars. But is it statistically significant is really the question.
Yes.
Because you can also have increase in traffic if there are more people coming out here to work, or just coming through this area for various reasons, because, well, it's more desirable because of whatever we have to offer, the parks, the restaurants, and all of that. So, there might be this misperception that traffic is related to development, where it is, but not in the rate in which we think it is.
That's true.
And I'd also add to that point, I mean, the traffic, whereas a park is something we kind of control, the traffic is regional. And, what's going on in West Whiteland and what's going on in fire station gets built in Upper Uwchlan. And I mean, it's all coming down 100, and, 113's got its own thing going into 30.
Right.
So these are some things that are out of our, it's important to note and keep in mind, but I mean, it's not necessarily a Uwchlan Township issue. It's a regional.
Route 100 and 113 is one of the top 3 by volume in Chester
Yeah,
County.
for sure.
So a lot of it is just, we happen to have the crossroads.
Maybe without the
As well as the
turnpike,
downtown
you know,
interchange.
there's so many reasons why there could be increased traffic congestion, which I think residents perhaps are
Yeah.
not keeping.
In fact, one of the questions, I think, 22, I can't remember. In fact, there was a question that asked whether people work here or they travel out. And you see that the vast majority of the people actually work outside the township. So like you were saying, that could also be a contributing factor. Because
Their traffic somewhere else. Left the boundaries.
What's interesting is in the what do you like least, right? So actually concerns about development, such as overdevelopment, overbuilding, construction, those all came out as one theme. And then traffic kind of came out as a separate theme related to infrastructure. And so I do think that that perception again, right, like growth is sometimes conceptual. What might I be seeing as I drive by? Am I engaging in it or is it someone else's versus traffic? I'm in the moment trying to go from school to soccer practice, trying to get home before to get a child kind of thing. Same but different.
yes.
Well, and that was one of my questions was, it seems like people are concerned with growth and development, but is it that they're anti-development or are they concerned about the kind of development, the pace and type and location of the development? In other words, there's lots of apartments being built and less single-family homes being built anymore. And would they prefer to see single-family homes over apartments, or they just don't want to see any development?
Yeah.
I would argue that some respondents probably don't want to see everything. They'd like to close the door and have the township continue to be just what it was when they moved in, whether it was last year or 30 years ago. But I think overall it's about the idea of this balance, right? Like it's about, is there a way to grow but also maintains the community characteristics, the feel, how I engage, without losing some of those community characteristics.
It's really interesting stuff. And I'll say, I really appreciate a nod to our staff. I feel like those were excellent.
Oh, for sure.
Satisfaction ratings. So,
I mean, that was, we all know you all are great anyway, but to have it confirmed by the respondents is just,
Yeah, well, this is a very positive outcome. And as I said earlier on, I live within this area. So when I was reading this, I said, yeah, this is the case.
Yeah, and again, if we think about why most people, not just in Uwchlan Township, but and it's usually because there's a problem, they need something has to be fixed. And so to have that positive rating of interaction and satisfaction, I think is truly impressive.
it is.
And they love these guys.
Yes.
now, did you ask about the supervisors in the?
No, we're good.
We didn't.
Don't have that this one.
No, thank you. It's very interesting.
Thank you all so much for this work. Really, really helpful.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, any other comments or?
No.
Any public comments? No?
Yeah, just kind of closing the loop on this, they're going to work on a kind of a final report, and then we'll, in a future workshop, we'll look to take a lot of this data and start building some strategic priorities for us to work on over the next 5 years. This isn't just, hey, let's collect the data and give ourselves a pat on the back. This is how do these responses and this information drive our priorities moving forward, and building a good solid work plan around that.
I have a question. You know how they have in the main line, or maybe it's in the Inquirer, I don't know. Best places to live.
Yeah.
Will this data kind of migrate to that, or is it something that could be?
It's interesting you asked that, because I just saw an article recently where I think Upper Uwchlan was rated as like the 9th best suburban town in the Philadelphia
Uwchlan?
region. Yeah, to live. And
It's lovely. But...
right. And And what was interesting is it was all AI data driven. And so it had comments about the fact that the Downingtown STEM Academy and Lionville Middle School are in that township. And they're not, right? They're just not.
I
And
was gonna say, people confuse Uwchlan and Upper Uwchlan a lot.
That's right.
So they probably meant us.
and so I wonder about some of the validity of
So
some
should we
of
build-
those.
Should we get ourselves an AI agent to?
I think so. I think so. But it would be interesting to have some conversations with the people, the actual
Yeah,
people that
like-
are doing it, not the AI bots about
Exactly.
how that's put together.
Not that I want, our little gem of a township to get out there and would be
Right.
inundated with more people.
Right.
But I do think based on the survey, and we've talked about this before, our residents are older. They lived here for 20 plus years. Demographic between 55, 65 is pretty, and I'm in that demographic, so I know I'm aging. I wonder though what the responses are for these same issues or other issues for people who are in a lower demographic. 20s to 30s,
Right.
30s to 40s. And I don't know, did you capture that? Did they respond to the survey? Because we do need to have some type of, and that could be a part of the strategic plan, certainly attracting a younger demographic.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. One of the questions that I had written down was like, given the disproportionately long-term residents and older adult respondents, like, how does that impact our future planning decisions? And so any feedback that you guys may have in the future on that, or even looking at the data in a little bit of a different manner of, okay, yes, the overwhelming majority of people fall into this bucket, but there's this subsection and the data skews a little differently this way.
In terms of age group, right, between 35 and say 54, we have about 31% of the respondents fall within that category. And I don't think that is bad in itself. Because whenever you do something like this time, you should expect that people like, the 18 to 24, 25, they probably wouldn't participate in some of those things because the stuff that are more important to the baby is below.
We can also look at teasing out age and years spent living in Uwchlan Township. Because I think, we might be assuming that for the folks who are retired and of age, that they're the ones who've been here for 20 years, but we can dig into the data to confirm that too.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
You guys have any other specific kind of population subsets in terms of the respondents' characteristics and how they were responding, or overall? If you guys want to send them to Bobby, and then Bobby, if you don't mind, and yours as well as the supervisors, that we're happy to take that into consideration and do what we can to try to answer those questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you both very much.
All right, we'll go on to the business meeting agenda review for this coming Monday's June Board of Supervisors.
Yep. Do this pretty quickly. There's a resolution about county open space funding and just making an ask for restoration of that funding. There'll be an updated tax duplicate just based on some assessment changes. We'll be looking for authorization to enter into 3 different contracts. One with Bowman for Whitford Road and Laurie Circle, the pedestrian upgrades that we're doing there that are grant funded. HRG for a stormwater funding study, so we can look at how we can best obtain sustainable long-term funding to address stormwater issues. And then AKRF for acoustical consulting services. We're looking to bring just a second acoustical consultant on board to have a bench there. hoping to have either an agreement or resolution for PennDOT to allow the police department to access the PennDOT crash information tool. You'd think that they were allowed to do that, but we need a separate agreement for that. Couple of extension requests, one for 675 Peck Road and one for Rockwell Downingtown LLC for Lionville Station Farm. And then permission to advertise industrial uses zoning ordinance that covers warehouses, distribution facilities, and data centers. An amendment to Chapter 195, our hotels, motels, and inns ordinance, just based on some conversation with the hotel industry, ways to strengthen that ordinance. And then we may have permission to advertise a hearing on the PRD1 overlay zoning ordinance, zoning map amendment, and tentative PRD plan for Rockwell Downingtown LLC. Although they won't have, I don't think that they will have submitted by then, so we may want to push that. And then after the meeting, we'll have a conditional use hearing for Eagle View Town Center, lot 17 and 20, an amendment to that.
All right, any questions about the agenda?
No.
Okay. Any public comment today? There's not. All right, with that, we'll move to adjourn the meeting.